All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV, where tonight we have the Area 51 Indy Oval Series here tonight at Kentucky Speedway, and we're getting just about down to it. Tonight is the second to last race of the season, and it'll be 135 laps here tonight at Kentucky, and the magic number tonight is 55. That is the max amount of points you can get in a race. And so if you are that number 16 at Mark Murphy, you want to get to that number. Ideally, you want to get to 56. That way there's no even chance of a tie. But at this point, again, and that also includes like car counts and missing races and all that too. So, but mathematically, officially, 55 would be the magic number for him. So that's what he's going to be looking to stay over tonight. And right now he does have a 71-point lead over Eric Schaus, which means, again, right now he just can't lose points, or can't lose a significant amount of points to Eric. And then it is a 83-point lead over Matt Wagner, and those are the only two mathematically still alive, and they've got a good battle between them for that runner-up spot, only 12 points between the two of them. And then we've got a really good fight from fourth on back. Craig Forsyth right now third, only 11 points, or sorry, in fourth, only 11 points out of ahead of fifth. Then it's a 2-point separation there between fifth and sixth. So yeah, you got three drivers. They're all vying for that fourth, fifth, and sixth position in the points. So it should be a fun battle there as well. And then a couple other close ones here to see where these guys all wind up. I mean, of course, you want to get all you can. So it'll be fun to see how it goes tonight. Again, 135 laps is the distance, and it sounds like it'll be a 2-stop race here tonight. The first run is going to be a little shorter, probably about a 40-ish lap run, pending, of course, cautions. And then they'll be able to fill up the tanks full of fuel, and that's going to give them about a 50-lap range. So based on those numbers, though, should be a 2-stop race. No dramas for all these drivers. And Mr. Jamie, good evening, sir. Hope you and the family are doing well. And yeah, let's say we're about to get to it here. Qualifying is still underway. A few drivers left to go. Looks like about 8 have put a time down. And again, this is that reconfigured Kentucky Speedway. So I got to get them right. Turns 1 and 2 should be pretty much flat foot. 3 and 4, you're going to have to slow that car down and try to find the quickest way around that track and get that good exit out of 4. But it sounds like tires are going to play a role in this one. Got to keep the tires in check because right now track temp 125 degrees. So it is going to be warm on those, especially that right rear tire. So these guys are going to have to try to manage those and not burn them up too much and get that really loose exit feel, which is never a good time. So right now, just waiting a little bit. Still have a couple cars still on track. Looks like about 3 more. And again, some drivers probably trying to see what others are doing to kind of get an idea for what they have in store. But now, so like I said, we had a few going. Now we've got about 11 cars officially have put a lap down. So again, we still got a few more to go. And we've got about 30 seconds left in the session for anybody that maybe going to try to make a late charge. Looks like about a 25 second race, or qualifying pace, I should say. So we'll probably expect to see that in the race portion as well. So right now looks like waiting to see if any big changes up front. Right now, leader has stayed the same. Won't spoiler who the pole sitter is at the moment because, like I said, still some drivers on track. And then we will get this thing underway here in just one moment. And I will be joined shortly by my partner in crime, Mr. Andrew Wood. So he had to do a couple things before he could get home. So I'll be obviously very happy to have him in the booth. But right now you're stuck with me for a little bit, though. All right, that is qualifying completed. So what we will do now, as always, is let's find that starting grid for tonight's event. And it is going to be the number 69, our points leader, Mark Murphy, getting pole position. That's already one more bonus point for him to get that pole position. So again, some of those little things go a long ways for Mark. So that's just going to give that magic number again, make it a little easier to come by. But Mark on pole there by about 7 hundredths over Eric Peterson. Eric Schaus, his closest challenger there, sits right behind him in third. Then Frank Irwin Jr., great qualifying for him there in that Carvana machine. In fourth, Casey Buhutsky there next to him, as some new paint scheme there. I believe I saw Goodwrench on the side in that number 25. Then Craig Forsyth there sixth. Charles Teed, Jeff Heislong sits seventh and eighth. Jim Herrick and Rick Sanchez rounding out our top 10. Then 11th and 12th, you have Edson Santos in the 20. Nick DeGroot next to him in the number 89. And then Matt Wagner opting not to put down a qualifying lap, as well as Chris Stouffer, Hugo Galaz, and Joseph Morales. Those will be our 16 starters for this evening's event. So again, we'll keep an eye and see where these drivers are able to kind of the comers and goers, if you will. And that's going to be a big story here tonight as well. Who's going to manage their stuff the best this evening? Looks like we've got about 2 more cars left to grid, and then we will get these guys rolling out of pit road. But again, right now you see on that front row, though, that 69 and the 36, they'll be the front row. And then, of course, talk about the points. 72 second in points, he'll restart third. And then Matt Wagner, third in points, he'll start back in the 13th position. So, again, it's not going to be a make or break where you start tonight. Again, there's going to be lots of comers and goers. You're going to have to really manage your pace and everything like that. So there's going to be a lot to come through here tonight. So it'll be fun to see what these guys are going to be able to make happen tonight. So, but again, the Mark Murphy just doing everything he needs to do to try to lock up that title easily here tonight. And of course, got to mention the bonus point side of things. Lots of ways to get bonus points. You can get 1 point for the pole position, get another point for leading a lap, and then I believe also another point for leading the most laps. And then the incident-free race would actually be 2 bonus points. So those are those little things that can go a long, long ways in this series. So that's what we'll be keeping an eye on. So obviously, if bonus point number 1 goes to the 69, gets that pole position. So that's 1 spot or 1 bonus point he can use in his benefit. And then, of course, if he can get a good start here, lead lap number 1, add another one there with that lap led. And, of course, like I mentioned, then you add up to hopefully a most laps led, and then also a 0 incident race to get max points. All right, so the field is starting to get set up here. 126-degree track temperature, so we always talk about turn 1, lap 1, and then especially turn 3. Tires are still cold. These guys are going to have some hot temperatures on the track. Cold tires, that's always a dangerous combination, as we are green here tonight at Kentucky. Mark Murphy leading the way. You saw there Eric Peterson slides in behind him, and so far so good as they head into turn number 1 for the first time. No dramas up front, though. Mark's going to kind of just get things rolling, try to stretch away a little bit. Again, everybody else, though, needs to try to just mind those P's and Q's, get those tires up to temp. So far, looks like a very clean start. And there you go. Mark Murphy will lead lap number 1. So, again, add that bonus point to his list. So he's one more time, let's say, just making it harder and harder. Because, again, the more he can gain point-wise, the further or the harder it is for Eric Schaus. Even if he wins this race at this point, that's going to allow Mark to just have more wiggle room to hang on to it. But you see right there, Eric wasting no time. Tried to get underneath there. That number 36 of Eric Peterson couldn't do it. But in the back here, we've got a good fight there. You got the 5, the 50, and the 89 going 3 wide, entering turn number 1. Get it sorted back out there. You see Rick make the wide apex. Again, you can really run this car all the lanes if you want to. And again, turn 1, you can pretty much run full flat out here. So right now, say this is where the battle is. Stouffer, throw him into the mix. Throw Edson Santos into the mix, as Edson's going to grab 2 spots there through 3. Stouffer's going to try to stay in line here and see what he can do. And there you go. You see Stouffer. He's going to now take the outside line. And again, it's longer distance, but you see the run he got on the exit. Also got some draft from those 2 in front of him. And again, we always talk about inside-outside line in 3 and 4. Again, that's the slower turn. But on the inside, obviously shorter distance. Outside, keep that car wound up. And then in Stouffer's case, probably also able to keep some clean air on that front wing as he's going to work over Teed now in the 50. And Teed's getting a little tight. He's got it back down. You see right there, Edson trying to peek inside. I think Charles had to roll out of it just to play it safe, but now we'll jump back up because we got a good fight with Schaus and Peterson. And right now, again, Schaus is trying to get there, but Peterson gets that good run out of 4. There we go. Schaus going to clear Mr. Peterson. Put Schaus now up into second. And right now, all the drivers still safely in the draft, so we've still got all 16 cars pretty much locked onto one another. A little battle here further back. Matt Wagner trying to work his way around Rick Sanchez there. Matt is squeezing there. You see Teed there. He's trying to find a spot through, just couldn't quite get it done. So he's going to hang out at the moment, still sitting in 13th, right where he started. 2 drivers that have definitely been making an early charge of these 2 right here. Nick DeGroot up 4 spots right behind him. Christopher up 5 positions. So these guys making the big moves early. As we got trouble. Rick Sanchez up and over, stuck on the fence here. He's going to have to take a tow. Just talked about Matt Wagner also involved in this incident. You can see both of the front suspension parts broken on that one. He's going to have to bring it into the pits. And you can see that car's not going to turn, so he's just got to try to see if he can get that thing to kind of keep bouncing back. But let's go back and see how this all occurred, because like we had mentioned though with Matt and Teed and Rick there. So we'll take a look here, see if we can get a better shot of this one as they are going through 3 and 4 here. So we'll pick it up now. And right, well, here's the obvious one there. Look at the right front there of the 5 car. His end plate was missing prior to this contact, and unfortunately, you see these guys get hooked together and then up and over. Oh my goodness, that's not a good time for the 5 car. But what I want to go back is now the question is, where did this damage come from? Rick Sanchez's car, front wing still here, everything's looking good. So we'll continue on here at speed and see if we can find where this front wing damage came from. Because again, that's where the damage happened. So, and that's again when you lose that part of the front wing, yeah, that car's just it's not going to rotate. You see Teed up against the outside there. That was where we saw the attempted 3 wide for just a moment. And yeah, still so far so good for the 5. Again, just kind of keeping on rolling back a little bit here, so if we can get a better view of where it occurred. And right there it is. That was the contact. There goes the front end plate. And then immediately afterwards, again, he tries to enter the turn. Just there's nothing there, and that's all he can do. He saw Jim Herrick, I believe that was, just sneak underneath them as well. So we're going to jump back live because we already had pit stops go on. And it looks like we had all but 2 decide to hit pit road there. That is going to be Charles Teed, Jim Herrick. They stayed out. Mark Murphy going to be the first of those that came out. And looks like 4 tires for all of these guys. However, another gamble. Edson Santos, he opted to take fuel only in that 20 car. We'll see where that maybe puts him up in the running order. Currently showing 4 spots up there in 7th now. All right, so I believe we're going to get the 1 to go this time by already. So we'll wait and see at the line here if those lights go off of the pace car. But what's going to do is it's going to switch Charles Teed to leader. Yep, there you go. Lights are off of the pace car. And so we're going to restart this thing starting on lap 11. So again, going to try to do some bad math. Basically be 125 laps to the end from here. So I believe even those that pitted, I think will still, even if they can go 50 laps, I think that's still going to be too far to go. Because again, I mean, you'd have to go... That'd be, what, 125 laps? So, yeah, so they'd have to go about 66 laps or... Say, math's not my strong suit here. But, yeah, I was hearing about 50 laps on a full tank of fuel. So, I don't think that's going to get them in a one-stopper from here. Yeah, so basically 63 laps was the number I was looking for. That would be the amount to split it to make it on a one-stopper from here. So I think at this point, probably 2-stopper guaranteed. Can tell you the 5 is back out on track after taking the tow and fast repair. Unfortunately, he is now down 2 laps. Matt Wagner also still on the lead lap. But same thing, he's on the lead up, but fast repair gone for that number 6. So they have to play it a little extra careful now. And again, that could change the outcome of that second place battle on the championship side of things. So pace car's off. It's going to hand it over to Charles Teed in that number 50 machine. Jim Herrick in the 40 right behind him. And again, he has control. Now he's down and away. He saw Schaus. He was ready to go, but had to roll out of it just a little bit to make sure no contact in front of him. As again, now you got those championship contenders there, 3rd and 4th right in front of one another. As again, these guys once more are going to have to build up those tire temperatures for those that pitted. We'll see what the used tires and lower fuel of Teed and Herrick are able to do here. Got Nick DeGroot trying to make quick work of Jeff Hysong as he builds up speed there in the 89. Actually looks like Matt Wagner back on pit road in the 6 car. Not sure why on that one, but we'll keep an eye and see if he's able to continue on. But right now you can see top 2 able to kind of sneak away a little bit here with those older tires. But again, maybe a little bit temperature still in them. So it might be one of those things where on the initial kick, maybe a benefit to have those slightly older tires with those holding on some of that temperature. So again, we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll watch the race pace as well for some of these drivers. Because again, maybe trying to save a little bit but of fuel, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to be too beneficial at this point. So but yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. I'm watching a little further back here. Edson's working on Peterson here, trying to get a little further forward right now. Again, up 4 spots. And then it looks like Hysong and DeGroot. DeGroot did just get by him, and that puts him now going after Casey Putsky. But one that dropped a little bit from that initial during the pit stop cycle is Chris Stouffer. He's fallen back a little bit, unfortunately, as he's now back into that 12th position where he was definitely up higher prior to that pit stop cycle. But yeah, right now this is definitely the battle to watch right there. As you see the 89, he goes underneath the 25. But again, can't get the power down as of yet, so he's got to slot right back in line there. Going to try to regroup and make another move here on Putsky here as they hit turn number 1. Come through 3 and 4, pretty much the same. This time he's a little closer, but again, I don't think enough to make it happen there. I can tell you Matt Wagner has left pit road in that 6. He's now actually sitting 4 laps down. So yeah, not what Matt was looking for tonight. And then up front now, Charles Teed, he's starting to get a little more pressure here from that number 40 of Jim Herrick. Last time by, Jim Herrick actually was the fastest car on track, ran the fastest lap of the race with a 25:27. Last time by about a 10th slower, but again, still these guys running pretty good laps here. And then again, watching some of the other guys, Schaus and Murphy still pretty close to one another. Craig Forsyth about a half a second back, and then Peterson another half second back. And then this is again where things get a lot tighter. You got Frank Irwin Jr. there, Nick DeGroot right behind him. There's Pahutsky and Hysong right on top of one another as well. And then just talked about Stouffer there, Hugo Galaz right in that mix as well. And then Joseph Morales, they're just about a second back of them. So right now, this pretty much 6th to 13th place. I mean, you can see just how tightly packed they are. So this is definitely the closest battles on track at the moment. You see DeGroot trying to see if he can make a move on Irwin. But you see right there, as he entered the turn, he was in the same path that number 20 of Edson Santos was. Given a dirty air, couldn't gain any ground there that he was hoping to have happen there. Man, look at Nick there. He just ran as wide as he could. But look at the exit he got. Great exit out of 2. He cuts it down to the bottom there in 3. Going to see if he can make something happen out of 4. But again, momentum just seems, second lane, third lane seems to be the way to go right now through turns 3 and 4. We'll watch him again here. He'll go wherever the other guys are not. And you can see he's going to try to run just a little lower. And you saw Pahutsky there running about a half a groove higher. Again, just trying to offset the cycle. You saw there Hugo got a little loose there out of turn 2 even. And the tires did seem to wear after that 15 or so lap mark. I was hearing drivers talk about that. They were getting loose and tires were starting to come into play not too far onto it. And yeah, Dan, you're probably right. Craig probably fuel saving. I did the magic numbers. I was hearing about 63 laps if they wanted to one-stop it to the end from here. I was hearing a full tank is in the 50 range, but that's of course full rich, everything like that. But yeah, I'll be curious to see how far some of these guys go. Of course, that all depends on things going green. But yeah, we'll watch what the fuel numbers are. Right now, the two that don't care about fuel, Jim Herrick, Charles T, they're just going for it. Like I said, they did not pit there at that caution, and again restarted there on lap 11 with 120 to go. Sorry, 125 to go. So yeah, so we'll see how things continue on. But right now, it's held steady at about that half-second mark from T to Herrick to Murphy to Schaus to Forsythe. You can kind of see how evenly spread out they are. About 8/10 back to Peterson. He's still pretty safe. But again, here goes De Groot. I think finally this might be the move he needed. He gets underneath it. It looks like he's clear for the moment. And yes, he will clear that number 48 of Frank Irwin Jr. And he'll move up into that number 8 spot. Now setting his sights on Edson. And it looks like he's going to easily get underneath them. But again, still got to complete that pass through the tri-oval here. And wondering, we've seen the pace Edson has. Wondering if some of these guys are going full fuel safe here, trying to cut maybe a pit stop out, or just go as long as humanly possible. But you see there, De Groot move him up into their spot there, now up into 7th.
The infirmed Andrew Wood has arrived, Gael.
Hello, sir. So far, so we've had one yellow, unfortunately, and that was a little bit of contact between the 5 and the 50 coming out of turn 2. The 5 car lost its right front end plate, and entering turn 3, as you well know, if you're missing any of that front wing, it's not going to turn. And unfortunately, it did not turn, and it found Matt Wagner to his outside. Both those drivers having to take a fast repair. Rick having to actually tow, which put him that 2 laps down. And then Matt Wagner had an unscheduled pit stop pretty much right after the restart, which now has him sitting at 4 down. So it's probably going to be a tough night for him. And then on the strategy side of things, the top 2, Herrick and T, did not pit at that caution around lap 8. Murphy and the rest on back did. And I'm hearing about 50-ish laps on fuel, on a full tank of fuel, because we started with a slightly reduced tank, but then they could fill up to the max amount, which I want to say was 18.5. So Dan Moraes, he's poking in. He says he thinks Craig's fuel saving to try to cut out a pit stop, make it to the end.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those tracks, Kentucky, where, as you see, these cars are single file right now. It's definitely very, very difficult to try and make some moves. But Nick de Groot's making it look pretty easy right now. You mentioned as I came in here that he had picked up a spot on Frank Irwin Jr. and then on Edson, and looked like he is going for Eric Peterson right now. So Nick is finding something that may work. So I highly doubt that he's doing the fuel save move right now, and he just wants to get his way up to the front.
Yeah, no, and I'd say he started 12th, so it's kind of what we talked about this season, just hasn't had the qualifying results that he'd be hoping for. And so, yeah, so it's kind of forced him to really push. And then it looked like for a moment Frank was going to be able to get by Edson, wasn't able to. He has to regroup. But in that little hiccup, though, it brought Casey Pahutsky right into the mix, Chris Stouffer as well. And Chris was one I mentioned a little earlier, too. He had a really good initial start to the race, had gained a handful of spots, but I believe he lost some spots over the pit stop cycle, because he kind of went back a couple of spots from where he was prior. So he's having to really regroup and try to get back out of it. But again, you can see, though, right now, be it the dirty air or just maybe the whatever it is, but that inside lane isn't all that. Maybe the short distance may not be the winning way to go there through 3 and 4. That momentum up top seems to be better in turns 3 and 4 to keep it built up. But I've seen this move here, though, where they just kind of run the top in 1 and 2, wind up that momentum, and then make the charge in 3. But this time he does get to the outside, but again, just can't keep that throttle down. But these guys are starting to get a little looser now, though, Andrew, at a turn 4 especially.
It looks like they're really going very slow through turn 3 and 4. It's almost kind of like the cars are crawling a little bit. And when I say crawling, they're still going 190, 200 miles an hour around the corners, but you can definitely tell the speed from the front straight and the back straight are definitely well reduced. So I think I'm watching Christopher do his traditional high line, especially on turn 3 and 4, but he's also doing it in turn 1 and 2 to try and get a little bit of an advantage there. He's got some ground to make up, obviously, but I do find it interesting, since you mentioned that the fuel tank had been reduced at the start of the race, that Teed and Herrick didn't come in and try and go for a full tank of fuel like everybody else, because they're going to have to come in much earlier than everyone else and probably have to sit on the pit lane for a little bit longer, whereas the guys that filled completely up, they're obviously running with a lot more fuel than even they started with.
Yeah, I'm gonna be interested in see how it pans out because again, we're on 33 now. I was hearing again somewhere in that 40 range, so I would suspect they can go at least 10 more laps, and it might be one of those things where they just like they thought, you know what, I don't think anybody's gonna be able to one stop it from here. So yeah, we have to pit earlier, but let's go ahead and just give it a try, get the track position because Teed's up now 6 spots from where he started, Peterson up 7 spots, so. It's quite the net gain for the two of them, and it's been working really well. And you can see, I mean, they've got about 8/10 now on Murphy, another second or so back to Schaus. So, and again, that just might be the fuel saving versus kind of going for it like they are, that 2-stop versus 1-stop kind of strategy or thought process. So, and you see right there, Irwin tried to get around Edson, lost all the momentum out of 4, and look at the head of steam that Stouffer got there out of 4. Almost able to get to that rear wing. Actually looks like he will just maybe get to the outside of him. Yep, forces Frank there to hold the inside, and that's going to probably be everything that Chris needs to try to make this finish off through 3 and 4.
As we look towards the front, it does look like Herrick and Teed have started to pull away from Murphy a little bit. So maybe the lighter fuel tanks have also benefited from their being able to kind of pull away from the drivers up ahead. And yeah, we're very much single file through the top 7 or so. So very difficult to make the moves here, but it's also a very tricky pit entry. So I'll be curious to see what the guys have up their sleeves for the pit stop rotation once we get around to that.
Yeah, and especially with the track temp too right now, Andrew, it's 129 degrees on the track side of things. So it's going to be slidey, and that's going to be another thing these guys are going to have to be ready for. We always talk about making the adjustments on the ARBs, the weight jackers. Obviously, typically during the race, you want to loosen the car up usually, and you'll move the weight jacker forward. But then once it comes pit stop time, usually you got to crank that thing way back. So we'll have to watch and see. But right now, we'll look at the back of Teed's car because this is all he sees is that number 40 of Jim Herrick. And I'm also watching Murphy. He's starting to creep back into the mix here, and he's put about 1.2 seconds on Schaus. And I'm saying this is one of those things where now it's going to put these guys in position where they're all going to start pushing because you don't want to lose the draft. So that's going to force now Schaus to push a little bit harder, force Forsyth to push harder, and that could bring things right into play for Teed and Herrick, who we know for certain had to make a 2-stopper to the end, where maybe now these guys run themselves out of that 1-stop strategy.
Unfortunately, this track doesn't really have a lot in the way of draft advantage just because you're really trying to find clean air. When we always talk about clean air being king, that's kind of the epitome of Kentucky, where you just want to make sure you have the best line going, and you're doing that really all the way through both sides of the track. So yes, you'll get a little bit of an advantage with the draft and everything, but it's not as pronounced as some other tracks. So it almost might be more beneficial to sit about a second back and just make sure that you can predict what the car ahead of you is doing and just take a different line, and that will keep you sort of within the area to stay competitive and everything. I do find it quite interesting that Herrick is pretty much right up the back side of Teed for most of this in, and Murphy's really got a run right now.
Yeah, he got a huge run there out of 4, and I think it was like you said, I think Herrick was just a little bit too close there, had to roll out of it a little bit to just because of where he was in relation. And yeah, Murphy said, don't mind if I do. And yeah, there he goes. He's going to grab 2 for 1 there through 1 and 2. So move Mark from 3rd to 1st in that 1 lap right there. And also mentioned earlier as well, Andrew, the magic number for tonight. And actually, here comes Teed. He's going to hit pit road.
Teed, yep.
I feel like this is a little early. Looks like a nice clean entry, though, for him. A little extra stab of the brake there. Hopefully that's not a speeding penalty then. But yeah, so that tells us that Herrick probably not too far away. But then again, I'm looking at lap times, and they have dropped a little bit. It looks like best laps is about 25 3s, 25 4s. Everybody else now is starting to fall into that 26, low 26 bracket. So based on that, this short pit, again, everything's got to go smooth. It's got to be a clean in, clean out. Hopefully no yellows during the cycle. But for Charles Teed, this actually could wind up being a very useful thing. But like you said, it is a longer pit stop, about 10 seconds there, because he has to wait for that full tank of fuel.
I wonder if T just knew he was getting past and said, you know what, I'm not going to sit in dirty air for the next 6 or 7 laps or so. Everyone's got to do one more pit stop anyway. So he might have just said, I'm just going to do something a little bit different, come out in clean air, and not have to worry about trying to find the clean air behind a new leader where he was very much used to it before. That takes a lot of discipline and playing with your in-car tools as well that he probably just wasn't into. So I don't blame Teed for mixing it up a little bit there. And now, as you see, Jim Herrick is pretty much just sitting in the wake of Mark Murphy, trying to figure out where the best spot on the track is to go. And I think Herrick's definitely found something, because he's been able to stay pretty close to whoever the leader is, whether it be Teed or Murphy.
Yeah, no, exactly right. He's looked really comfortable. Sometimes, of course, we mention that maybe following one car is a lot easier than following a pack of 2 or 3. Saw a little bit of a blink there from 72. And also need to mention DeGroot. Now, he's gotten by Forsyth as well. And so, like we talked about, Craig didn't fight too hard. So, and I don't think he's being too kind. I think there's some planning going on there. And so what I'm waiting to see now is the strategy for the pits and the fuel. Because last time by Mark Murphy by himself, 26.01. Charles Teed by himself, 25.68. So 0.3 of a second faster for the 50 car now that he's getting those tires up to temp. I'm also saw Herrick there kind of enter a little low. I was wondering if that was maybe a sign that he was going to hit pit road. Yep, I was going to say. So he's going to jump in. And again, like I said, very difficult pit entry. That was
dodgy.
I'm wondering about if that little orange box there, if that's the pit commitment line, he may be in trouble there. We'll have to wait and see. Edson locked him out too. So I think it's the yellow cone, so I think he'll be okay. But there you go. Santos actually the first of those that did pit under caution. He is the first one to come in, and that's at 47. So now again, we'll have to wait and see how far these guys go. Last time by, it was a 25.62 for Teed over to a 14 for Murphy. So that's half a second quicker. So right now, that strategy is looking really good for Teed, as Peterson's now on pit road along with Pahutsky. Herrick's just leaving pit road. Edson's rolling out too. So right now, like I said, we're kind of mid-cycle here.
I'm trying to see. I'm scrolling through the cameras here. I want to see where Teed. Okay, so Teed does beat Herrick out just by a very slim amount, but that is to be expected since Herrick was sitting in dirty air and Teed was by himself on track. But that's basically what the strategy was that Teed wanted. He wanted to get some clean air on his outlap there, and look at the gap that he's already pulled on Herrick, who was basically right behind him right before he did the pit stop there.
Yeah, and he's got
more cars coming in as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what he's got on Herrick right now. It's 1.6 seconds, so he's actually broken the draft as well at the moment. And you saw Peterson popping out there right behind Herrick. So, yeah, this is going to be very intriguing. The other thing to note right now is, you see Murphy here. He's off on his own, no draft for the moment. Same thing for Schaus. He's about 1.6 back. So, really the only car that's got draft in this front couple groups is DeGroot. They're about 0.8 off. So, still a good battle here, though, with Irwin and Stouffer. They sit a couple tenths off each other. And as I say that, here comes Stouffer. Forsyth in as well. So, again, I think this is the telltale. These guys cannot make it on one stop. So, these guys here are just stretching as far as they can. But, again, if we can complete this cycle, I think things might look pretty good here for Teed. But as soon as I say that, though, Jim Herrick's been rocking off some pretty quick laps. He's actually got it down to under 1.5 again. So, he used 0.2 quicker than Teed that last lap, and this is why, though. Look at the traffic Teed's in.
Yeah, Gala's actually caught a little bit of the wall there, exiting too. I think he might have gotten away with it, but yeah, it's a very bad situation for Teed with cars that are ahead of him. But one peeled off. He got by one pretty cleanly, so now there's just one more left ahead of him, and that's Rick Sanchez, who is probably due for a pit stop within the next few laps as well.
Yeah, and I'm saying when you just got one ahead of you, it's not too bad. And then in this whole cycle, you can see actually as well, he's been able to stretch it back onto Herrick. And even in the traffic, he's still been quicker than Murphy. So, like I said, Murphy's doing the long game here. Again, he could trap a lot of cars lap down, because right now it looks like it's just 3 cars now that are in the main lead pack here on the lead lap. Hugo Galaz is still on the lead lap, but again, he still has to pit as well. So, yeah, right now, again, depending on how far these guys want to go, we never want to put I'm actually not going to bring it up because I don't want it to happen. But it always puts that risk of trapping cars laps down. But like you said, though, if these guys aren't fuel saving, DeGroot's got something, because he has got some impressive long run pace in that 89 car.
And I think it just became a lot easier for him too. His cars ahead of him started to peel off, and that's kind of what I was talking about before with being within the draft is not so important around Kentucky. As long as you have clean air, then you can usually run pretty similar lap times, and maybe even pick up a few tenths if you're a little smarter than the cars ahead of you. So it's going to grow more difficult for Schaus and DeGroot in particular, with guys that have come out of the pits on fresher tires, as they start to kind of mix it up with them a little bit and possibly hinder their progress a little bit. As you see, Forsythe's going around DeGroot there. Now DeGroot's got to fight with double dirty air unless Forsythe can make the move on Schaus.
Oh, and actually, this is a big storyline too. Is Craig got caught speeding on entry. It was a 48-second pit stop, which means it was an 8-second pit stop, but then 40-second hold. So right now, Craig's showing all the way back in 14th spot. And I believe possibly something for Stouffer as well, because he just kind of came in and out quickly. So I think possibly also a penalty for that 13 car as well here, Andrews. So unfortunately, two of the 4D cars having some troubles during that cycle. As here comes DeGroot. He's in for his scheduled stop, which now leaves just two drivers now, and those are the top two in the points. And this might be one of those deals where they just don't want to gamble getting trapped a lap down. So Eric's going to do whatever Mark does, and Mark doesn't want to put himself in a spot to risk going down a lap. And here he comes. He's going to dive into pit road. Looks like a nice and easy pit in here. No dramas. Schaus coming in right along with him here. And that's with 57 to 135. So, yeah, definitely still one more stop to go from here. So now what I want to see is once this all cycles through, there's Charles Teedy just unlapped himself. But I want to see what kind of a gap he has over the field once he's done, because right now he's got 1.8 and growing over Jim Herrick there in second. So a really good job by him in that 50 car.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to Las Vegas where we were kind of predicting if the cars were going to stay out long and then do a splash at the end or come in a little early. And I was wrong in that case where I thought the drivers were going to go maybe around like lap 110 or so. I think it's about the same amount of laps as Las Vegas. So everyone started coming in around 90, between 90 and 95 or so. So I imagine if things are going to stay as they are, that's the prediction I'm going to have here, is that around lap 90, 95, you'll see them come in for their final stop. And once one comes in, they're all going to want to come in because no one's going to want to have to be out there on older tires and doing less lap times and possibly be undercut.
And yes, and that's going to be the risk is exactly that. It's like, well, do I run long because I'm worried about a yellow during the pit stop cycle? Do I say, okay, the short pit, obviously, for the moment, we'll see short-term versus long-term, but short-term, this short pit's really worked because right now Teed's got 1.3 seconds over Herrick, although Herrick last time by was 0.2 quicker than Teed. But then these two now have over 3 seconds to Mark Murphy. Edson Santos is right there in fifth, and then Schaus and Haisong right now together as well. So, yeah, right now it's definitely spread out here fairly significantly. I mean, like I said, you can see Murphy's got about almost 5 seconds, but of course now that he's got those fresh tires he's got 16 lap advantage right now. Teed at 41, Murphy at 56. So right now, obviously, a big advantage on the tires are going to go to Mark Murphy and those guys that pitted late. But I still wonder, though, I mean, at what point do these tires start to equalize? As we got a great battle here, though, with Schaus and Haisong and DeGroot right now, all going for 6th, 7th, and 8th.
I'm wondering, where did Eric Peterson come from? He was kind of mired in the bottom part of the top 10 there before the pit stops, and he's kind of right behind Jim Herrick. So I believe he might have pitted early and might have run some flat times, but really, really good pit cycle for Eric Peterson, who kind of just came out of nowhere and is now challenging second place. Yeah,
he had a great pit stop. I was actually just right now looking at the pit times. And so Charles Teed, we talked about, he had not pitted, so he had a 10-second pit stop. Jim Herrick, same thing, 9.75. But then Eric Peterson, 8.37, and that was the quickest of anybody that had in the pit stop time. And then pit lane time as well, he was quicker than everybody with a 39.47 total pit lane time, and that was half a second quicker than the next car. So he just nailed his entry, nailed the pit stall, just did everything right there. And yeah, so I think just that whole cycle probably gained a couple seconds on the field. And like you said, did pit a little early, 46 for Herrick, 47 for Peterson, compared to the 41 for Teed and the 57 for Murphy. So, but yeah, like I said, right now, Murphy's still not quite in the draft range of Peterson yet, but he is running really fast laps right now, 25.58 to now the 25.90s for the guys in front. So again, it's going to be the ebb and flow. I mean, if this goes green, how long does it take Murphy to get there? And once he does, can he get around those guys, or do the tires equalize by the time he does? So it's going to be intriguing to see what's the right approach here.
I'm wondering if Murphy did a little bit of a fuel save when he was sitting behind the top three in the last stint, because he did kind of go a little longer than we predicted, and he went a lot longer than Schaus and DeGroot did. Well, not a lot longer, just a few laps, but that's all that really matters. And we know that Schaus is definitely the kind of guy who wants to run the tank out no matter what.
Oh, look at
for
that
the reasons we were talking about.
Oh my goodness. We'll go back. We're going to watch that again, but I don't know if you saw that as it was happening. Watch Ensign Santos here coming out of turn number 4. Look at that thing kick out to the back there. You can see the smoke coming off the tires, and Schaus just has no time to react, but Edson, amazing save, and he's going to hang on to that thing somehow. But again, we talked about that the right rears, you can get those things angry, and Edson showed it. He throttled up, and that car said no thank you. As also got to mention that track temp, 130 degrees now, Andrew.
Yeah, that was definitely a great save by Edson there, and very, very difficult. Once you overheat that right rear tire, it's very difficult to get it back to temperature again. So he's going to be very careful the next couple laps, trying to make sure he doesn't do anything a little bit wild with that car. But if you're trying to find any sort of advantage with the in-car tools, you really got to go very hard as he gets very close to the turn 4 wall there as well. So probably still dealing with a little bit of tire heat. And yeah, it's very, very scary, but he's still in the race, and that's really all that matters. So I'm sure Edson will be one of the first cars to jump on for new tires as soon as he can.
Yeah, once that window's open, yeah, I think you're right. And here you go. We talked about the tire difference. Murphy's got 10 lap fresher than Peterson and Herrick, 15 lap fresher than Teed, and he's there. He's within half a second. And right now, I mean, look at this train we've got for the top 3 battle. Again, Teed on the oldest tires, did a short pit, had a huge gain, but now he's starting to show the wear on those ones. And now it's going to be the fight between Peterson and Herrick, who's going to try to get that spot to try to take over the point, get that clean air on the front wing of their car. But again, you know these guys, neither are going to want to give up for it. So but Peterson gets a great run here out of 4. I think we'll be able to get him through 1 and 2. And now we'll see what Mark Murphy can do. Does he stay patient, or does he try to get ahead now, run away with those fresh tires?
I think Murphy's got a decent amount of patience here, especially knowing the situation he's in the championship. So I think the tires, though equalized a little bit, it's definitely still a slight advantage for Murphy. And Teed is very much struggling on these tires right now. He pretty much went up all 3 lanes through the exit of turn 4 there, and Murphy moves his way up to second. And it was very interesting that Peterson felt the pressure. I'm sure he saw Murphy was coming. He probably just wanted to sit behind Herrick for a while, but then eventually he said, nope, I got to go, man. And Peterson's now led his first laps of the day here, and let's see if he can hold off Mark Murphy.
Yeah, and that's exactly, and like I said, also, I mean, this is one of those deals where, again, this one's only a 10-lap difference, and we've seen Peterson's had a really strong run. Like you said, he kind of popped in with a really great pit stop up spots, but obviously he had gotten to that position from the get-go. And I mean, Peterson started second in this race, so I mean, he had obviously the quick Q pace as well. So, and in this whole process as well, it's brought DeGroot, it's brought Schaus. They're all back into the mix here as well. They're all within a second of another. So that whole cycle, we saw they were seconds apart from each other, and now you've got the top 6 within about 2.5 seconds of one another. And here goes Murphy. He's going to try to take the top side here, run the longer distance, but again, keep that momentum built up here. And I'd say I don't think there's much Peterson can do except fall back in line. But again, though, that puts now Peterson in a great spot because his next car behind him is on the same pit strategy.
Very, very great job by Peterson here, and kind of outsmarting everyone a little bit, and maybe just pitting in the right window where he had just enough of a clean air advantage to get himself some great lap times and close back in on the top 3 that he was right behind there at the start of the race. So yes, Murphy's ahead, but Peterson is a net gain, and unfortunately Teed seems to continue to be dropping back quite a bit, unable to really hold on to the pack there. He's really struggling with this set of tires.
Yeah, but he's going to need to go, I think, probably at least 10 more laps to get into that 50 to go window. So, yeah, right now he's just going to have to try to minimize the damage. Here comes Schaus. You can see he's got a lot of pressure from DeGroot right behind him. Same thing. These two are right a lap apart from one another. Edson's working on, I'd say he's still trying to get those tires probably a little happier, but he's catching Teed as well. And then Frank Irwin Jr., Jeff Heisong, they actually are about to go side by side here. This is for 8th and 9th. I do need to mention Casey Bohutsky. He actually just pitted there a few laps ago on 68, so he's a little bit more off sequence as well. But as it stands right now, again, also the pit penalty for Craig. He is still the first car and only car 1 down, Bohutsky 2 down, and then Sanchez and Stouffer 3 down. And I think, unfortunately, Matt Wagner calling an early evening after his damage. But let's go back up front because here you go. You got DeGroot trying to work the outside of Schaus here. We'll see if the momentum shift goes to that second lane. And, yep, give that spot to DeGroot, move himself back up in the fourth.
The last lap, DeGroot actually had a similar moment to Edson where he didn't really necessarily lose the car, but there was definitely a snap of oversteer right at the exit of turn 4 there. So very good on him to keep that under him while also still getting ahead of Schaus on the following lap as well. And he feeds Schaus quite a bit of dirty air there, showing, okay, well, this is my spot now. And unfortunately, you're holding me up a little bit, so put DeGroot up a spot, and let's see if he continues his march towards the front. And I'm sure he's going to try and make quick work of Jim Herrick, who also is struggling on these tires quite a bit.
Yeah, so he's falling back a little bit. I got to say, though, Herrick and Peterson still hanging on pretty well to one another. But, yeah, the one that's, once he's got the clean air, he's just run away, and that's Mark Murphy, because he's now built up about 2 seconds over Peterson and Herrick. So, again, this is where you get to that decision time when you start to get to that window. Do you want to run it as long as you did last time compared to those guys, or do you say, okay, maybe I'll go 5 more laps instead of the 10? Because again, you just don't know. But I don't know. At the same time, if I'm Murphy, of course you want to win the race, but you're looking at your rival right now, who is Schaus in 5th, and again, Schaus has to gain a lot of time on you. It's not one of those things where he needs to gain on Schaus. So we talked about that 55 is the magic number. If he can lead here with a 56-point lead, he's got it locked up, and he came in tonight with over a 70-point lead. So right now, as it sits, it doesn't look like there's much of a mathematical way for him not to clinch. But again, we can't count the chickens and all that yet, so we'll have to wait and see. But like I said, I know there's going to be a lot to fight for, and I say he's going to want to win. I say because his last win was back at Iowa back in January. Like I said, he went on a tear, and then he's just been stupid consistent is the nicest way I can put it to keep that lead built up. So he's going to want to finish the season strong.
I definitely think that the ball is going to be in Schaus's court to try and do something a little bit different. And yes, he did run a little longer last time, but so did Murphy. So I think that Schaus's best option here is to do the super early pit stop, try and come in and hope that he gets some faster lap times that eat away at that essentially net lead that Murphy has. And then hopefully a timely yellow comes and Schaus will put himself in a good spot that perhaps he manages to get right up there with Murphy and get ahead of him. If he does the same thing as last pit cycle and stays out as long as he can, then that pretty much matches whatever Murphy has going on, and he's not going to gain anything. So I think Schaus, if he wants to do anything different, he has to go on a completely different strategy to what Murphy had going.
Yeah, no, 100% agree, because they pitted on the same lap, and right now Murphy's got 5 seconds over Schaus, just because, again, Eric came out in a lot dirtier air, had to work his way through a lot, whereas Murphy had to work through traffic, but then he's now had the last, 10 or so laps in nice clean air, just being able to run away and run his pace. Whereas you can see right here, Eric's got the 40 in front of him, then the 89, then you got the 36 and the 5. So there's a lot of traffic for Eric, and so that's just using those tires up even more and just letting Mark Murphy run away. Yeah, and I saw, the 50s in, 18 came in last time around, so I think we're just in that window. And so Teed and Heisong said, you know what, in the window, we can make it. Let's just go now, kind of do the road course approach and just come in kind of backwards once you're just in the window.
And I'm pretty sure Teed is probably going to start saying, okay, I can't run these tires as hard as I did last stint, because if I have to run all the way up with a full tank with a set of tires, my tires are going to be very angry towards the end. So hopefully Teed learned a little bit there and is a little bit nicer on his tires, and the positions will come his way if he's careful.
And I'm still watching Peterson here. Again, he pitted 10 laps earlier, I should say, than Murphy and then DeGroot, and he's still ahead of DeGroot. I mean, he's about 4 seconds off of Murphy, but he's by far doing the best of those in that situation. You've got Herrick here. He's still done a really good job as well, but he's lost a little bit of ground, and he's been in this just dogfight here with Schaus. And I think Eric's finally going to get the momentum that he was looking for to get to the outside and try to use that outside through 3 and 4 to get that spot here. But again, though, in all this fighting, though, he's now down about 5.5 seconds off of Mark. And yeah, there he goes. He's going to complete the pass. But I mean, Peterson's pace is solid. Again, the older tires that he's got, he's still only about 2 to 3 tenths of a second off, roughly, per average. But right now, what's getting Peterson is now he's having a hard time getting around the 5 car, because same thing, the 5 actually went really far in field. He went all the way to lap 60, so he's got fresher tires than those 2 in front of him, or behind him, I should say. But I'm saying, so yeah, right now they just couldn't find a way around. I think Peterson got that dirty air, and DeGroot said, yep, I'm going to take advantage of that one and grab that second spot now.
Yeah, Peterson unfortunately guessed wrong in turn 3 there, and Sanchez had the middle of the track, so he had to track all the way up into the 3rd lane, and DeGroot played him like a fiddle, basically, and said, I'm going to the bottom. And sure enough, that was the quickest way around, so put DeGroot up to 2nd place. And I'm wondering if DeGroot has anything for Mark Murphy. DeGroot's kind of run part-time for the most part, and he's someone that we always watch to come to the field, and he certainly has. When I got here, he was in P9, and now he's looking at 2nd place, so the pace is in the car for sure, and he has nothing to lose here. So I'm wondering if Nick DeGroot might try and outsmart Murphy and go for a win here.
Oh, look at Schauster. You can see he got a little loose on entry, trying to cut underneath of Peterson there. And I say, once again, the momentum on the outside line, Peterson's going to hang onto that spot. So a really, really good job there by Eric. Like I said, older tires was still hanging on. And lap time-wise, like I said, clean air to clean air. This last time by, actually Murphy's got a little bit of dirty air now in front of him. He's got the 18 there of Haisong, but again, Haisong just got tired, so he's going to run away from Murphy. But DeGroot was about 1/10 of a second quicker that previous lap, and you can see he is trying to work it right now, as he's got to still get that 5 car as well. So, and then this time around, 1/10.5 quicker for Eric. So, or sorry, for Nick. So he's got the pace. We'll have to kind of keep an eye and see. Can he continue that momentum shift? Because right now it's looking good for Nick. Obviously a lot of ground to make up, but he's clicking 1/10 of a second off very nicely right now.
We got some faster cars that are moving their way through that have pitted. Casey Pahutsky got around Schaus and Peterson as well, and now is starting to pull away. But Schaus can't really shake Peterson right now, and trying to figure out exactly where to go. That was a
wow.
Really, I don't know what happened there, Gael. That was, the car just like kind of shoved a little bit to the left, and he kind of found himself in a spin. Maybe it was a little bit too much weight jacker on the entry, and the car swung down to the inside.
Tires
what a save!
Angry. Oh, he's around. He caught the 20 there as well. Unfortunately, Edson Santos just wrong place, wrong time. And yeah, you talked about the tires are angry, and he entered turn 3, and they were unfortunately still angry, and unfortunately that's going to send him around. See the 20 trying to get rolling as well. He's got heavy damage, and just, yeah, it's a tough one for Edson. Just wrong place, wrong time. I'm going to go back up and see if I can jump on the first slide that he had, because like you said, at that point, I think he had gotten ahead. Oh, no, he was ahead. That was where the slide happened. So here's he was going for it, just completely steps out there on entry, has to catch it, and I don't know how he caught on the first one. And then, yeah, I mean, when you slide like that, you mentioned just the slide that Edson had was nowhere near that bad. But then he's building speed back up. He's going to try to enter turn 3. And again, those tires are just completely roasted here. And then immediately, same thing. Just as soon as he turns in, that thing's just around. And then the problem there is you see he catches the apron. And, of course, that's always going to bring you back up the track. Edson already committed to that inside lane and just catches the side there, and unfortunately puts Edson up and around as well. So that's going to put us under yellow here. That is the second yellow of the night. We'll jump back up because here come pit stops, and we're going to see no strategies here. Everybody's going to hop on in here. And then we'll see on the wave around side, I think it should be Craig that's going to be the beneficiary of this. So he'll be very happy to have this yellow to get back on the lead lap. And now the strategy on the wave arounds will be the next question mark, but we'll wait to see if Craig goes. And yep, there he goes. He's going to get his lap back. So now he gets the pit stops.
Checking Schaus's car, and I mean, he did make contact with Edson there, but the car actually looks like it's okay, not even a scrape on it. So actually there is a little bit of a scrape on the front part of the tub there, right by the floor, but I don't see any damage that'll prevent him from continuing. But they do have that fast repair, which I'm sure if there was damage, he would be right on that, making sure he used that fast repair. But I think Schaus got away with one there.
Yeah, definitely lucked out to not lose the lap and to be able to get back after it. Again, the other big beneficiary of that was Craig Forsyth getting his lap back. And then it looks like Jeff Hysong is going to stay out to take his wave around because, again, he had already pitted, so he's good on field, but he wants to go ahead and take that wave to get back on the lead lap and not stay trapped a lap down. I do also need to mention, unfortunately, it looks like Charles Teed, I believe, may have had an early retirement as well in the 50. And then Edson Santos is, I believe, still on pit road. I think he might be retiring as well. And then on the strategy side of things, I also saw Stouffer. He's going to stay out along with Pahutsky. Again, these guys just trying to get some of those laps back because at this point, if you actually say here goes Pahutsky, he's going to hit pit road now. But like for Stouffer, for instance, he was, I believe, 3 down. So this is only going to get him back to 2 down. So he's just trying to get anything he can. Just one of those ones you just got to kind of swing for the fences. So what this does, though, we talked about the pace DeGroot has. That puts him right behind. Now he's finally got that track position, and he's on equal footing. So there's no fuel dramas. Now it's just going to be an outright fight to see who can come up on top here in the next 38 laps.
Yeah, I mean, DeGroot definitely has the pace, which we saw early on. So I think Nick is going to try and make a little move there. And again, we know that Murphy kind of wants to win, but at the same time, he's trying to figure out how he's going to get by. It'll be a very interesting fight to the end there.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see. And then again, if they start battling too hard, you've got Peterson there, you've got Herrick right there. I'll say they're just outside of the top 5, or just in the top 5. Hugo Galaz, a great run for him now. He's up 10 spots as well, up into 5th. Nick DeGroot also up that 10 spots from 12th to 2nd. Joseph Morales up 8 spots into the top 10 and 8th as well. So a lot of guys having solid runs. Like I mentioned, Hysong, he took the wave round. He's back in the field now as well. Forsyth also, again, getting that wave round. So all these guys, we still have 10 on the lead lap. And then 9 of the 10 also on the same tires. Again, Hysong's definitely got some older tires. So what's going to happen, though? Murphy's got control of this restart here, Andrew. Again, we're back to where you got the cold tires full of fuel. They're going to have to let these things build up temp a little bit because you know turn 3 is going to get a little sketchy.
Got a little bit of a late start here, but everyone's away safely. And, yeah, let's see what happens with Murphy and DeGroot.
As they come through turn 2 again, still building up speed, but pretty even start there. You see Schaus making quick work and try to get after Frank Irwin as those tires still build up those temperatures, but also it's the easiest time to try to make those moves. But he's going to try to slide in front of the 48, and it looks like he's going to hang on to that spot. But so you see Eric, he's going to try to do everything he can to get back up into this battle. But like I said, now these are the two we'll have to be watching, see what the short run pace is versus the long run pace. Because, again, it's still almost a full fuel run here, Andrew, so they can't just go balls to the wall right now.
Yeah, and again, it's clean air that everyone's looking for, and when you're all stacked up like this, it gets very difficult to find it. So looks like DeGroot and Murphy are already kind of going at it, and I'm sure one of them wants to be the one. I'm sorry. Either one of them wants to be the one with clean air and not fighting for trying to find it.
Yeah, and that's where now DeGroot's going to have to try to figure out, okay, what line is Murphy going to run, because he doesn't want to do what he's doing right there. Was pretty much in the tire tracks of Murphy through 3 and 4. He's going to have to try to find a way, but look at this battle here. You've got Peterson, you've got Galaz, you've got Schaus. Schaus is going to try to dive it underneath Hugo here again. He's got the short distance, but now he's got the dirty air, and he's going to kind of get pinned to the outside. Look at Hugo. Is he going to try to dive low? Nope, he's going to stay there. Eric's going to try to take the middle side again, trying to find that clean air. There's the dirty air. Just hangs on to it. And last time by, quickest car on track, that guy right there, Craig Forsyth, just went purple.
Yeah, Schaus was put in a very bad spot there because he had the dirty air from Peterson up ahead of him, but he was walking up the track right into Galaz's path, and I think Galaz might have even kind of seen something like things, so that's why he entered super high, which he's doing again right now. And Schaus really... he's running out of
contact. Oh, yep, contact was into them this time. Hugo's around, Craig's around. Oh my gosh, you saw right there. Oh, more contact in the back there. Rick Sanchez got into, was that Stouffer? Or is it? I saw more contact. I couldn't tell if it was Stouffer or not. I saw 2 cars make contact. Unfortunately, big hits there. And again, talk about the fast repairs. That might be night over for a couple guys. Craig's going to have significant damage to his. Yeah, there's Schaus. And if he took the fast repair, that's night over for him, unfortunately. So let's go back because, I mean, they were battling hard.
I mean, they were wrecking all the way through the field. It wasn't just Galaz. Sanchez made contact with, I think that's Pahutsky, after the spin had already completed. So we had a multi-car, multi kind of pack incident here.
Yeah, so you see that's the initial contact. Craig's trying to react to this. He unfortunately kind of has to put himself into the wall to avoid them. And then watch how close Joseph Morales is to all of this. Right now everything looks good. And there goes Craig across his nose. But then, like you mentioned, a little further back here, I'll jump back to Hugo. And yeah, right. Oh, it's Pahutsky, right? Those two make contact with each other. Oh my goodness, they both have a really big hits there as well. Again, we're running super slow-mo, so all this is happening way quicker. And there's Christopher. That's what I was wondering about. So for Stouffer, though, this strategy for him to take that wave, I think, is going to be huge. And here we go, decision time for pits. And the answer is pretty much a no. Top 5 all going to stay out here. And then, of course, all these guys coming on pit road were mostly all involved in it. And then I'm watching Stouffer. He should swing on by all these cars, which would put him from 2 down to 1 down. We'll wait and see. Up there he goes. So again, he was 3 down, took the wave to 2 down. Now he gets the free pass back to 1 lap down. So Stouffer still, I mean, he needs another caution, but he is now in the catbird. So he's, I believe, going to be the only car 1 down, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that and see where it goes. But we're going to catch your breath for a second here, Andrew, because we haven't got to show off our awesome sponsors like 40 Racewear. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned. We'll get back here on the One to Go.
40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right. Well, I was about to say I think coming back to the One to Go, but Peterson's on pit road here. He was top 5 at this whole cycle, so I'm not sure what's going on for Eric there. But do need to mention Craig. He's back out. He took that fast repair. Jeff Heisong, we were just mentioning during the break, big beneficiary of that, because remember, he took the wave around because he was on about 20 lap older tires than some of those guys. So now he's got fresher tires along with Craig. I think Joseph Morales went ahead and just hopped in and took some tires as well. Hugo Galaz, we just mentioned as well, he went ahead and probably took fast repair as well. And then, yeah, so right now Stouffer, the only car 1 down, so he just needs to keep that car nice and clean. Peterson's just come out now, but I think at that point, yeah, there's only 9 cars in lead lap, but you've lost a lot of track position. I'm not sure why I pit the second time there.
Kind of scratching my head at that one too, but perhaps there was a mechanical fault or something like that, or he needed to pit to handle something. So these things happen. We're all human, and things come up. So unfortunate for him, but yeah, I think he definitely put himself at a bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. So now the first car on tires is going to be Craig Forsyth. But like I said, top 4, though, we saw Murphy and DeGroot there trying to make something happen. Put Jim Herrick in the mix, Frank Irwin as well, 4th, then Craig in that top 5. So again, still 9 on the lead lap here. Going to restart this thing with 29 to go. Again, still no dramas on fuel. And like I said last time, a little bit of a later start here. And so far, looking through the field, looks pretty orderly. So we're down and away with 29 to go. Right now, the top 3 are Murphy, DeGroot, and Herrick.
We only got 11 cars left on the track here, so we're thinning out quite well. So I imagine we'll probably go green to the end here, unless something crazy happens.
But yeah, look at DeGroot there. He was going for it right out entering 3.
Yeah, I'm watching Peterson to see if he makes up any ground here, but so far on the first lap, he has not gotten around anyone. So yeah, unfortunate for Peterson that he had to take that pit stop there, but still a decent drive from him overall. It was very exciting to see him kind of outsmart everyone on that one pit cycle, but unfortunately now he's finding himself at the bottom part of the top 10 there.
Yeah, I've been saying this time around, DeGroot wasting no time. He is putting all the pressure on Mark Murphy. He's going to try to run to the bottom. Mark's going to protect the bottom. He's going to jump back up top. I say we have got a battle for the lead now.
You saw a little bit of a shade there for Murphy. He disappeared, which kind of probably threw Nick off there, but no harm, no foul there. And I think Nick is trying to make that outside work, but let's be careful with these tires, boys, because we saw quite a few people as Nick touches the wall there.
I think he'll get away with that one. I don't think it's going to be enough to really hurt the car too bad. But yeah, like I said, he's going to have to be careful. And yeah, that one little miscue, that's 0.4 of a second, pretty much slower. So he's going to have to regroup, get back after. Let's Mark breathe for a second here, as right now we've got a top 5 breakaway. Forsyth's got about a second on Haisong. And yeah, like you mentioned, those guys that pitted right now, so far, again, we're early in this one, but so far no gains yet there. So, and it looks like the 89 has recovered nicely this last time around. It is going to be about equal laps, and Peterson back on pit road. So yeah, actually spun it down pit road. So I think he actually spun on entry here, because you can see that front wing is gone too. So let's go and we'll take a look here. And yeah, that thing just steps out on him, unfortunately. And big hits to the front of that car. So that's going to be a penalty, as well as the stop and hold. And yeah, just unfortunately a really, really good night gone bad there at the very end for Peterson, which again, those are tough to see, because like I said, he had such a good race going prior to that. So unfortunately won't be able to get that interview to find out what maybe the decision was on the late pit stop. But right now, though, we got to keep an eye on this battle, because DeGroot is back. He's going to try to get that spot.
It looks like DeGroot is much stronger through turn 1 and 2. So if there's going to be any sort of move happening, I imagine he's going to try and maybe sneak attack Murphy into 3 if it's available. As you can see, okay, Nick didn't enter so well that time, but you can see Nick gets right down to that yellow line where Murphy is maybe about a wheel or two's width off the top there. And Nick kept going to the bottom in 3 and 4, which wasn't really working out because Murphy was stealing that line from him. But that outside line in turn 3 and 4 really hasn't activated quite yet. But that's probably where Nick's going to have to find some clean air on the outside, maybe not so wide in order to do it. And as you can see, DeGroot gets nice and low through turn 1 there and exits 2 quite high, gets the run, and hopefully he finds some clean air right to the right rear of Murphy that would get the car to rotate on the bottom there. But unfortunately, it's not happening as he touches the wall again. And
this time he's around.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I was mentioning, if you're going to try and make the outside line in turn 3 and 4 work, you have to really plant yourself right on the right rear of that car. If you go up another lane or so, there's marbles up there. You really kind of overheat the right rear as well. So I think if Nick had tried to plant himself right there on the right rear, then that probably would have been a little bit better situation. But it's very difficult to tell exactly what the car would do in that middle line.
Yeah, so we'll catch it again here, just a little bit too high there. Probably also a little bit of an air wash off of Mark, and Mark's just running his lane there. And then, yeah, just bounces off the wall, and you see, tries to catch. You see the wheel to the right, and then it just hooks at the wrong time. But then watch the field behind him here, because everybody's got to decide, okay, how far up is he going to slide? And so right now you see Herrick's like, okay, I got to go outside. Crick says, yep. But then watch for Frank Irwin. Frank saying, all right, yep, I'm going to cut down inside. So, and this is, I think the tires, they're bringing people in here, because here's Mark Murphy. He's going to lead the field in. But we've got a couple gamblers. We're going to have Jim Herrick. Craig Forsyth said, we got 20 to go. We want to stay out here. And also look at this guy here, back on the lead lap. Well, actually, wait, why is Stouffer pitting? Or did he already get the wave round?
He already got the wave round.
Okay, I was going to say, because actually, no, I'm trying Pahutsky get in the wave. I wonder if there was something that prevented the 13 from getting that lap. I'll have to wait and see. As I saw Stouffer just drive through. I think the admins might be trying to fix it. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to the time of the yellow, because I want to watch, because at that point, I remember, so here's Stouffer. Pahutsky's behind him. Let me see. If something happened under this caution, like, yeah, if he had a 0x or a off track or anything like that, he'd be ineligible. But I don't see anything that stands
But
out.
you also wouldn't be allowed to pit because you have to wait a lap if you're a lap down to pit. So yeah, kind of a strange one there. Yeah, Stouffer just drives through. I think he realized he shouldn't have pit there.
And yeah, there you go. So he is getting the wave now. I think the admins probably saw like, hey, this something wasn't set up correctly there. So he's gonna get waved by. He'll be back onto the lead lap. Now he'll have to hit pit road quickly though.
Now he's gonna
because,
hit. Yeah.
Well,
He's gonna catch the back of the field here in turn 4. So.
But he's still. Oh yeah, no, he pitted at 103. So he's in the same window as Craig is. So we've got 3 sets of strategies right now, Andrew. We've got Jim Herrick pitting at 95, Craig Forsyth pitting at 104, and then Murphy on back pitting at 115. So pretty much each one a 10-lap swing. And like I mentioned, Stouffer back on the lead lap. Pahutsky now just 1 down, so back to 9 on the lead lap. 10th is 1 down. And then also DeGroot, after getting his tires back, not sure, maybe, I don't know if he had to take a fast repair on that one or not, Andrew, because he did catch the wall on the outside a little bit. Obviously, he needed tires after that slide, but so yeah, so now this is getting intriguing again. So we're going to restart, under 20 to go. Herrick now is going to be the control car, teammate Craig Forsyth behind him, and then you've got the fresher tires of Murphy, Irwin, and Haisong. So we'll see what the winning move is, because we saw earlier the fresh tires weren't quite able to do anything right away. So maybe the clean air, like we always talk about, is king. So we'll see what Herrick and Forsyth can do with it now.
Yeah, I see Eric. Eric Peterson has rejoined the race again. So yeah, not sure what happened, if he had some sort of personal issue he had to tend to briefly or something like that. I still don't get why he pit if he was going to do that anyway. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting run to the finish here. So now we got 12 cars on the track.
Yeah, maybe a hardware issue, something like that, where pitted because it was having issues, looked like it got fixed, and then had a hiccup again or something. But that's a tough one. Like I said, he was in a great spot. So either way, though, handing it back over to that 40 car. Now he's going to control this restart, and they are down and away. Nice, clean start, looks like, for all these drivers. And we are down to 18 to go here, Andrew. So we'll see if there's enough time for those new tires to play a difference.
So if you'll remember from previous restarts, the new tires are going to have a little bit of issue in turn 3. So the top 2 should kind of pull away a little bit if Murphy kind of struggles on the bottom side there. But he actually does get a halfway decent run out of turn 4 there. Forsyth takes the lead, but Herrick's got to stay in that draft or Murphy's going to pounce.
Yeah, and you saw right there, Craig was ready. I mean, he had a great start there. He dropped a hammer and was gone, was able to grab that spot entering 3, even on the low side where we talked about the momentum being an issue. And there you go. Murphy's going to grab that spot from Herrick as well. So they said now Herrick's going to have the oldest tires and the dirty air as well. So that's going to open up opportunities like Frank Irwin and Hugo Galaz, see if they can try to get into that top 3, get a podium spot. DeGroot's going to try to recover as best he can. He's working on Haisong right now. As I say that, Casey Pahutsky just put down the fastest lap of the race at 25:18 for him in the 25 car. And then again, we got to see what Stouffer has. He's going to probably need some track position, but we're going to go back up front because Murphy is there. Craig's got to figure out where does he need to put that car to prevent that number 69 from getting around him.
Very good run by Frank Irwin Jr. tonight. Yes, everyone's kind of mixed up every time we do some pit stops here, but he's managed to put himself in probably his best career running spot here in Area 51, which is always nice to see from drivers that put in a lot of effort. So let's see if he can maybe grab one more spot on that podium. He is kind of running the same pace as who's that, Herrick up ahead of him, but yeah, DeGroot is coming, so maybe short-lived, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, still 14 to go, and right now Craig's doing better than I thought he would on the inside line. I really thought that he needed to be on the outside in 3 and 4, run the short distance through 1 and 2. But right now you can see he's able to keep Murphy just high enough there, keep the momentum, I think, just enough too on the inside. So, and we always talk about that risk versus reward, but I think with the night that Schaus is having in 12th, I think he's saying, you know what, even if I wreck out, I'm still going to be over that 50 mark. Let's go for this win here tonight. So I think now this is going to be one of those races where Mark's going to kind of be a little more aggressive, not do as much points racing as we've talked about, as right now these guys having a great battle here, been side by side for the last handful of laps.
Stole the words right out of my mouth there, Gaio. Been side by side for 4 laps straight now, and Murphy can't really find an advantage on that high side. It looks like, wow, look at how high DeGroot gets in turn 2 there. trying something different for sure because Herrick's kind of blocking the clean air situation. So I don't know if Murphy's really going to find any way by. He's doing the same exact thing that Zagrut did right before his little off-track excursion there, where he couldn't really get the line through 3 and 4 to work very well. He's still going a little bit high, but Forsyth is kind of almost bullying him up the track a little bit and forcing him to take a much higher line where there could be some marbles placed.
Yeah, I think Craig, I mean, he's got to be a little aggressive because he can't get himself pinched down because you lose all that momentum.
Hitting again.
Oh, yep, caution is out, and it's Zagrut one more time there. And was that the same thing as last time?
It looked like it. I think it was the exit turn 4 on the bottom, which is very strange.
Oh, yeah, he's actually really low. Let's back it up a little bit because
that's a long slide. It actually slid all the way through turn 4.
Yeah, so he's just going full drift mode here because you're right. Yeah, right there. You can already start to see it cutting out there. And again, he's just going anywhere he can find the clean air. I'm sure he's being really aggressive on his tools as well. And you're right, though, just trying to save it. And I think, do we see the same? Now you can see the wheel, but yeah, this time it just cranks, saying it's just going to finally spin all the way around. So, I mean, and that just goes to show, I mean, these are some of the best IndyCar drivers we have in iRacing. And they're going for it. They're not rolling over. They're pushing as hard as they can. So what that's going to do is, again, decision time. You can see pretty much up front, there's no decision. They're not coming in. Zagrut, obviously, he's going to come in. Joseph, one more time, he's going to get those fresh tires as well. Pahutsky's going to, I believe, this will be putting Casey back on the lead lap, so put another car up into that mix. So a great break for him as well. And then actually, in the process on all of this, Andrew, we lost Christopher in this. I'm not sure why.
I did notice that. I took a look back. I think he just quit.
Maybe had something going on too. That's unfortunate.
I realized he kind of put himself in a weird spot on that wave around and everything, and he realized he wasn't going to pick up any more spots in the last 10 laps. So I think he's probably just going to call it a night.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I say that would have actually gave him some track position to then be able to actually vie for the win. So, or at least a top 5 or something like that. So that's a bummer. So it kind of swaps one out with another. Attrition definitely in the name of the game here tonight, though. But yes, what we've got though now is, again, we're back to it. This is going to be a quick restart here because again you've got Murphy pitting at 115, Craig at 104, Herrick at 95. And then everybody there, Irwin, Galaz, Haisung, 115. And then now Zagrut, Morales, and Pahutsky there. They'll all have pitted there on this previous yellow. I think Pahutsky's still got to pit this time around. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Right now it looks like tires aren't going to make enough of a difference, at least for those further down spots. I think now it's just who makes the right moves at the right time. And so we'll get the one to go here. And that's going to give us a 7-lap run. And again, no green white checkers here. So at some point, Andrew, you gotta make that move and hope that's the right timing for it.
I almost wonder if maybe, let's say, somewhere around the Jeff Haisong area, like if he came down pit lane, if others would follow him just for new tires. And the farther up you go in the pack, yeah, you might actually have a better tire advantage now that these guys have been out for about 20 laps or so with some caution. You might have a little bit of advantage if you try to sneak maybe around 5th or 6th or so and bring everyone else with you. That would make it interesting for sure, but there may not be enough time to handle that.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I always talk about I feel like the initial restarts were the leaders the most vulnerable because of the big momentum swing you get after they get that draft basically picked back up. So again, the cold tires will be watching Zagrut and Morales, but then everybody else has a pretty solid heat cycle in them. And then, yeah, it's for Herrick is if he can hang on to a top 3 because he's got some fresher tires behind him. And, yeah, now it's just you got to get the right adjustments to your car for this short dash, get everything where you want to. Maybe don't get too aggressive. But we'll see if Craig can hold off Mark Murphy for the win and who's going to be able to get those top 3 spots for the podium.
There's a podium spot open for a handful of drivers that don't usually see themselves up here, so expect that to be pretty spicy as well.
I say Craig's down and away. Pretty clean start for him. You can see Herrick got a great start as well. Was pretty much still staying on that gearbox, and he's got about 7/10. He's got a great start actually over Irwin Jr. So That's what Herrick wants to see. And for Craig now, he just wants to see these laps click by as quick as he can and try to keep that 69 in his mirror.
Looks like Herrick is kind of sitting pretty right now in third, as Irwin had a little bit of a bad start there, but he's starting to come back a little bit. Just as these cars start to wind up a little bit, it'll get very interesting for that last podium spot if things stay how they are right now.
Yeah, here you go though. Back to same battle, round 2 here. And again, Murphy's going to try to keep Craig pinned as low as he can. Craig's going to try to force Mark as high as he can get on the exits, because again, you want to keep the momentum shift to your side as Mark's just going to kiss the wall there, able to keep it pointing in the right direction. That's going to be a little bit of a breathing spot again here for Craig, but just give it another lap or so, if even that, and Mark's going to be right back after it. Like I said, this is one of those ones, he's not points racing now. He wants to win this thing.
If we're learning one thing during this race, we're learning that it's very difficult to make a nice clean pass. You have to really put your car on the right line at the right time, and you have to almost kind of hope that the car that's leading or the car that's ahead of you gets himself in a really sticky spot.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, these guys, they've raced with each other week in, week out. They know each other. They'll race as hard as they can, but they'll race with respect. And you see again, Craig right there, he's going to hold the inside, but then as soon as he can, he's going to try to drift out just a little bit, because he needs to give himself a little bit of an entry. And same thing on exit, he's going to make sure he gives Mark at least a lane, but he's not going to give him any extra here as we're down to 3 to go.
DeGroot's coming back as well. He's already passed Frank Irwin Jr., who's lost the spot to Hugo Gallows, and DeGroot's coming underneath Gallows right now. And he's going to have his sights set on the podium, but there may not be enough time for that.
Yeah, right now Herrick's just got to find that cleaner on the front wing and try to make his best lap time as he can. Again, he's definitely at the tire deficit. But like I said, though, there's only 2 to go here at the line. Hugo able to hold on to that 4th spot. As here we go. Once again, here Murphy's building that momentum up. Going to run the top side. Craig's got to be careful not to get cut underneath out of 2, because, again, you can do the over-under. I think Mark thought about it there.
Definitely. I think Craig played that perfectly. He kept himself right on the bottom line there. He knows that Murphy's going to try and sneak underneath him. We've seen Murphy do that in a couple races this season, and not really much success there. So he really has to find a way to sneak underneath. Otherwise, I think Forsythe's got this.
Yeah, he's got to find a way to get that big run here through 3 and 4. And like I said, he's going to steal some draft now. Now he's going to try to make that charge. This is where they're going to squeeze each other as much as possible. Watch for Mark here to get aggressive as they come through 3 and 4. And he's got a great run out of 4. Who's got the momentum to the line here?
Be very close.
I think Mark's able to get it at the end. He's going to grab the win, grab the championship in winning style. Craig's going to be just kicking himself. What could I have done differently? But a really great job by Mark. Like I said, he saved the best move for the very, very end there to win the race here. And again, like I said, to clinch that championship this evening.
I think Murphy chose the correct lap to get that car right on the right rear tire going around the corner. He knew that Craig was going to be a little bit slow on the bottom side, and Murphy kind of went up the track a little bit, but there was just enough momentum there and probably enough in-car tools to get the car to slide around on the outside and not hit that outside wall. So very, very nice move in turn 4 by Mark Murphy. It was just enough to get to the line first.
Yeah, he like you said, he saved the best for last there. Had some moves he almost wanted to. Was he just trying to get Craig comfortable? It's like, oh, he can't get me on the outside. And then Mark's saying, you know, I still got something going here. I've got a move that I've been saving up, and I'll make it happen there. So as you watch him there, he's did his burnout sign. He's gonna do the Polish victory lap, say at least on the NASCAR side, as it was termed from Alan Kwiecki. But yeah, what a great race tonight for him. A great season, and say now he can just go into the next one in 2 weeks' time. Just zero pressure. Just go have fun and try to finish off with another win.
There's nothing better than that feeling where you know that you've already won the whole thing, and you could just kind of play around the last race a little bit, do something a little bit different, maybe go to the back, see if you can pass a bunch of cars, do something kind of fun. I don't really see Mark doing that. I'm pretty sure he wants to rack up wins from here, as he's kind of moving his way up the win list in the series here. So we'll have to see what kind of Mark Murphy we get next week.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see as we watch him finish off his celebrated. Probably bring it right back here to the start-finish line. And so what we are going to do is we're going to jump around and chat with some drivers, and the first of which is going to be that number 40 of Jim Herrick. So we're going to jump back here. We'll pick him on up tonight. All right, grabbing the right camera angle so we can drag in our third place finisher, and that is a Mr. Jim Herrick in the number 4040 Racewear machine. Jim, the second to last restart, I think it was, you got Craig right behind you. You've got the kind of the tire difference between you and Craig by about 10 laps, and then another 10 laps to Murphy. I mean, was it one of those just it's worth the gamble, clean air versus fresh tires, or I mean, it was an eventful race tonight. I mean, what was the strategy there for you that you felt like was the winning move at the end?
Well, I didn't know, to be honest. It was a total gamble. I didn't realize everyone was going to pit, so that's basically why I didn't. In the end, I think the tires were, after they cooled down from running under caution, they were just about as good as the fresh ones. So looks like I made the right call to stay out there. I couldn't hold off Craig or Murphy. Craig got a good run on me on the start, and I couldn't keep him behind on the back straight. And then, when Murph came around on the high side, and nothing really I could do there. But fortunately, I was able to just manage the tires and hold everybody else off.
Yeah, Jim, it looks like in that first stint in particular, when you were following Charles Teed, you were able to kind of get up really, really close, where it seemed like other drivers were having difficulty maintaining that same gap behind drivers they were following. So did you find that it was easier with maybe just one car, or did you have to search for clean air a lot? Or talk us through exactly what you were thinking there, if you were happy sitting behind Teed, or if you really were hoping to get that lead.
Yeah, I'm not one that really has to charge out front. I'm happy to sit, especially in second. That's I'll run there early in the race, until we get towards the end. But I definitely, one car in front is much easier than two. I noticed when I think it was Eric Peterson maybe got by me there after a while. And there were two cars in front, things became much more difficult because now, both lanes sort of had that dirty air, and you had to either find that narrow little bit of third lane, or you had to do some car adjustments and get it to work. I did find a little bit of a sort of a pattern where I could sort of, I don't know, take the opposite, like inside out, almost like doing an over-under with Teed coming off of 4. And I think he was running that low line. I was happy for that because I'm sure he was burning his tires up, and he was letting me have that easy exit that allowed me to save my tires. And I think that was a big help to me today.
No, I mean, you were, like I said, like Andrew mentioned, you were one of the ones we're watching. Like, he's able to stay tight to a lot of these guys, and yeah, I mean, it was a great run. Like I said, obviously a lot happening throughout the course of the race, but you're able to use some strategy, get some track position, because I think you were also one of the few that stayed out on that first yellow as well. And then Andrew and I were kind of nervous because we knew the fuel mileage was going to change based on the first stop to the second stop. Was there, I mean, I know you obviously have Craig in there with you chatting, but we know he's Mr. Fuel over there. But was there thoughts at some point where they might be able to pull off the one stop to the end there instead of having to do two, or was it pretty obvious to all of you that it's like, no, there's no way anybody can one stop it to the end?
No, none of us were trying to one stop really, although I was, for that one little part when I was behind Charles, I was basically just in map 3, kind of following him, letting his draft carry me along, and it allowed me to go longer than I think almost anybody else on that first stop. Although I didn't stop for the full fuel in that very first caution. Not stopping in the first caution meant everything to me because all those positions I got, it would have been really hard to make those up on track. So that was kind of a gimme for me. And, it's much easier to manage the race from in front than from, 10, 15 cars back.
Nah, I mean, it was a really, really good run for you. Obviously, a little bit of bias on our end because I say you do a lot of awesome things for the league with your company, 40 Raceware, and so obviously we've had our little secret discussions of all the awesome things that are coming. I know you've still got a ton in the works that you can't officially announce yet, so I won't push you too hard on giving that one, but I definitely want to give you the floor, man, for any thanks and shout outs for that podium this evening.
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll talk soon here. I think I'm gonna have something for the finale this year, so we'll be in touch. But definitely, everybody, I want to thank 40 Raceware, our sponsor, our company. Make the original racing gloves for your feet. Go to 40raceware.com and check them out. Also, I want to mention that we are going to be at the Sim Gaming Expo in Schaumburg, September 5th through 7th this year. We'll be exhibiting there. We'll have our products on display and available for people, and also we should have quite a bit of the new stuff on display there too. So come to the Sim Gaming Expo. Check out simgamingexpo.com. I'll get a there's a promo code for 4D Raceware. You can get a discount on your admission. So I'll get that here for the league to get out to everybody. And just, gosh, thanks again to everybody. My teammates, Craig does a lot for us. Like you said, he's our fuel calculator. And Christopher, he had a rough night tonight, but he's been on a hot streak lately. And all my other teammates make this a lot of fun. And you guys for doing the awesome broadcast. So thank you very much.
Great job tonight, Jim. Saying I'm already peeking over at the Sim Gaming Expo. I'll say I'm kind of grumpy. I'm not very close to Chicago, but yeah, if you're in the nearby area, or if you got some time in September, that sounds like a great thing to go check out. So I'll see if I can pull some strings. But great job tonight, though, Jim, getting that podium this evening.
Good job, Jim.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I needed a good finish really bad. I had a decent one going last night and blew it on the last turn of the last lap of the race, and so it just felt so good here to hang out at the top and run with the front runners. So thanks again.
Great job, man. Go enjoy this one.
Kyle, before we continue, I'm still stuck on Mr. Fuel. It sounds like a cartoon. That nickname is really picturing like a fuel tank that's smiling and waving kind of thing. So I've been laughing over here for the last couple minutes. So I appreciate that.
I mean, and that might be what we need to do, Andrew. Is we need to find someone who can do some graphics designs or something like that, and we can get a Mr. Fuel, just little graphic character with Craig's face on it. And I say obviously the fuel save wasn't the plan or the strategy tonight at some point, Craig. But we were talking to Jim about it, and he mentioned, yeah, you hear the fuel calculator there. Dan Marrero was popping on chat a little earlier saying he's going to go out on a limb and say that Craig's saving fuel. So that first pit stop, you were one of the ones that pitted. A lot of guys also came in other than, I believe it was just, what was it, Teed and Herrick, if I'm not mistaken. Were you thinking one stop at that point on the restart, or what was, at some points it seemed like at some point everybody kind of abandoned it?
Yeah, no, I knew it wasn't going to be makeable. I think even at my max fuel save, I was like nine laps short or 8 laps short. But never knew what was going to happen. Is that could just end up being a splash and go at the end if it works out properly, right? So that was my thought, and then I tossed it all away by locking up the brakes going into my the second pit stop there, and got a speeding penalty along with Stouffer. So the two of us immediately looked at our brake biases and realized we had never fixed them. So that was annoying. But at that point, it was just go as fast as I could to get myself unlapped, because I think we were 2 laps down at that point. So it had to be the opportunity to unlap myself while the guys that were leading were on really, really old tires. So we did that, and then that put us one lap down. And from then on, it was just hope and pray for a caution, because that was the only way we were going to get an entire other lap back. And I mean, unfortunately for those guys, but luckily for us, it did happen, which was good. It meant we were back on the lead lap, and we're able to charge back through. I knew we were fast. It was just I needed to not make mistakes, and Kentucky is a place I like to make mistakes at, and it's also a place I like to burn up my tires at. So I will absolutely take a second. The gamble on staying out was a risk. I mean, I had a feeling that Mark was gonna clip me. There's only so long you can defend the bottom on old tires before you overcompromise your speed. And the whole time I could just see his car coming alongside me, going down the main street. I'm like, no, he's gonna get me. He's gonna get me. And sure enough, but it was a good race. I mean, gosh, good for Jim getting third, snapping his streak of bad luck. So yeah, I mean, second and third for the whole 4D Raceware team. Good result for that. Just too bad tonight about Chris. I mean, he almost didn't make the race because he was having wheel connectivity problems. So the very fact he was able to make the race and charge up through it was good.
Yeah, Craig, if I know Kentucky, I know that inside slide move through turn 2 is always kind of favorable because it gets you that inside line going through 3 and 4. So we were watching you those last 5 laps or so, and it seemed like you really were trying your best to protect that bottom side to make sure that Mark didn't do his signature underneath move that he likes to do so much. So were you more concerned about protecting that, or were you more concerned about protecting the exit of turn 4?
It was. I did not. If he got onto the inside going down the back straight, he was going to pass me. With the 20 lap newer tires, he was going to have no problem maintaining speed on the inside line through 3-4, and I would have basically just fallen back at that point and been and had to basically at that point be fighting for second and third. So. No, the only hope was make absolutely sure he could not get to the inside, and then hope he was doing the proper thing, trying to hold me down, and then arcing back up to the outside wall for 3 at a late enough moment that I wasn't able to get as far, to arc that corner as well. So each lap I think I was getting a little bit slower and a little bit slower on my on the entry, which meant I was slower on the exit as well. So yeah, it was the perfect timing by him to make sure that he was wearing my tires down enough to be able to get by me on the outside there to clip me at the line.
Yeah, and I mean, it was. I'll say Andrew and we had their thoughts. I mean, obviously we knew 1 and 2 was you want to be as low as you can. I thought for 3 and 4, it seemed like the momentum just you were able to kind of keep built up through the middle lane, especially in 3 and 4. But obviously, and then he's trying to pinch you down as much as he can. You're trying to kind of squeeze him up a little bit to get your entry into the turn as much as you can. But I mean, we talked about how you guys race with each other week in, week out. So you can kind of push just far enough, but not too far to go over the line. I mean, that's what I say. I'm of course you want to win these things, but I'm sure just going tooth and nail like that those last couple laps is probably still a lot of fun behind the wheel.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, that is great racing right there. Like trying to hold someone who's got significantly better tires than you behind you at a track like Kentucky is a great challenge, and it was. I mean, that was good racing, and yeah, it's just you really have to trust and know the drivers that you're with. That if you're the car ahead, that that driver knows you're going to try and force him up a bit, because you're the car further ahead, and you learn to trust the drivers that you guys aren't going to end up clipping into each other and taking each other out. I mean, I think Mark has such a lead in the in the standings at this point that I was saying in my chat is like I don't think it even matters if he does crash out, he'll still win. So I was nervous at that point because I knew he was gonna push and make it a good challenge.
Yeah, that was pretty much what we said too. Is at that point he was fine, obviously, because it was going to be Schaus that had to gain on him, and unfortunately he and Matt both had tough nights tonight, and so we were saying it's like at that point he's not points racing, he's going for the win, and that was obviously that's what we saw out of the two of you guys battling for that win, and like I said, it was an awesome fight to watch. And yeah, I mean, I'll say we're somehow down to one more race in 2 weeks' time at Auto Club. But of course, before we get there, I'll say you had a great run tonight. I know you had a lot of fun this last weekend as well. Definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts for that run up this evening.
Yeah, I Long Beach was a blast. Thanks to Charlie for inviting us out and being a great host. We had a good time, and I don't really remember Friday night, and that says how good Friday night was. So, got to thank Jim, 40 Racewear. I mean, as I said, he got got third tonight, so double podium for the team. Great supporter for IndyCar, great supporter for the league, and he's got the Sim Racing Expo coming up in Chicago. He's going to be there. I believe that's in October. So yes, if you're in that area, head out to the Sim Racing Expo and meet all this us sim racing guys who like doing this stuff day in day out.
Yeah, and it'll be a lot of fun. And I said, hopefully your knee gets all better soon. I say we saw the damage that was done.
I may have a boo boo.
Oh no!
I don't know if there's any 4D Racer Band-Aids out there, but maybe bring it up to Jim.
Oh, okay.
No, great job tonight, Craig. Looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time at the finale. But as always, man, a great run tonight. It's always fun watching you in these.
Hey, thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Andrew. Have a good night. Stay safe.
Yeah, take care.
All right, Andrew, we got one driver left to chat with, and we're going to pull him on in over here. And it's hard to compete with somebody when they've got an average start of 3.9 and somehow have an even better finishing average position of 3.7. And that is going to be that number 69 Mark Murphy, clinching the championship in style here with the win. And I guess we're just going to have you confirm right off the bat, Mark, because at some point, obviously, Matt had his tough night. Then towards the end, Eric had his difficulties. At that point, you're like, okay, they had to finish ahead of me. I don't need a points race. I'm just going for the win. I mean, was that the thought process, or take us through the kind of the latter stages of the race and what you wanted to do?
I mean, first of all, anytime you race against Edson Santos, Nick DeGroot, Craig Forsyth, Matt Wagner, and Eric Schaus, Joe Branch, Nick Wheeler, Jeff Heislon, Chris Stover, these are top shelf guys. These are top split guys. These are guys that can beat you any night of the week. And oftentimes they do beat me. And just did I know? Yeah, I mean, the calculators over at the calculators in Sweden were working double overtime. I think Seb had figured out, and congratulations to him, by the way. I've been running Seb Alexander's paint scheme for the last week. He was able to get himself reinstated. So, we've got our leader back, and his first log into the sim after, show you what kind of a leader that guy is. His first login into the sim after being sent an email that he'd been reinstated was to come spot me for this race, and stayed awake until 5 a.m. to do it. And so, if that doesn't tell you the kind of heart that guy has, I don't know what will. But thank you, Seb. Just thank you for everything. We knew exactly what the points were. We knew exactly what needed to be done. We knew exactly how many laps we needed to lead the most. We knew where Schaus and Wagner were at all times. I knew when Wags went out. And shout out to that guy, man. He's been so much fun to race with. He's such a great driver, such a great competitor, such a great setup man. He's a great friend. Just it's a shame he got taken out. And then, when Schaus went to pit lane, the call came, hey, I've been telling you every 5 laps, don't wreck that car. He's like, fuel one, whatever rate jacker you want, go win the race. And then the caution started coming, and I was like, man, it wasn't bad enough that I had, you've got a guy like Nick DeGroot, who's one of the 25 best in the planet at this, chasing you and trying to hold him off. But now he spins out okay behind you. And now you got to figure out, do I take tires or not? And we gambled and stayed out the first time, gambled and came in the second time. And I looked up and I'm like, oh no, not Craig. There is not a harder nosed racer that is cleaner and harder to pass in this sim than Craig Forsyth. I mean, pound for pound, he will race you to the inch, and you had better be perfect. And I have no idea how I passed him. I'm going to go watch it back 100 times. boys, I don't know how that happened. I got just enough draft at just the right time, and then, Seb, said it's, going down the back. Seb goes, "You got him," and I dialed up positive weight jacker for the first time in the race, and somehow it stuck. I have no idea how. I mean, I have no idea how. I ran a line I hadn't run yet. I ran a setting on the wheel I hadn't run yet. I don't think I moved my hands going through 3 and 4, and we beat him by what, boys? What, 3 feet, 2 feet? What was it? I haven't even seen it yet. I'm watching it now for the first time on the broadcast.
It was tight. I says maybe what, a nose cone.
He and I have a history of that. So for those of you who don't know, Craig Forsyth and I own the record for the closest finish in iRacing history at 500 miles. I got him at Indy in the Dark Horse 500 by 0.0002 seconds, back when they would tell you such things. It worked out to be 3 centimeters. It worked out to be somewhere between 2 and 3 centimeters was as close as we could get it without counting the pixels. It was ridiculously close, but I have no idea how I got there. Like I said, I was either going to spin out. Like I knew that Chalice and Wags were out, and I knew that I was going to finish ahead of them, and I knew that the championship was over. And at that point, it was win the race, and we dialed up something we hadn't run through there before, and the car was loose, and I guess the right front was just hot enough, and the right rear was just cool enough to let it stick. I wouldn't want to do that again, though.
Well, first of all, Mark, I should say congratulations on being an Area 51 champion. You've joined the ranks of drivers that have tried, myself included, and have come up just a little bit short, but you were the one to get it done tonight, and done it with 1 race to go even. So I won't ask you any questions about the race because you pretty much laid out.
You can ask me anything you want, Wood.
Well, I'm just going to let you, I'll cede my time and let you talk about some of your ups and downs of the season. What were your favorite parts? What were your maybe kind of lick your wounds and come back next week kind of thing? Or was there a race you could have taken back? I know the average finishing rate's quite high, but what exactly can you sum up your season as?
That's one race. It's Indianapolis. My wife actually took, you remember that screenshot you put in the Discord of me like 50 feet above the scoreboard? She actually, my wife Natalie, and thanks to her for letting me do this, she found that picture. I guess my phone was unlocked or whatever, and it was looking at Discord. She found that picture and printed it out, and it's on my wall.
I love it.
And I mean, I don't know how high. I was certainly above the grandstands, like the top of the grandstands. But that kind of encapsulated the whole season. Like even it was one of those. It's one of those deals where even when you screw up, it winds up okay, or it winds up better than it should have. Or even if it doesn't do either of those two things, you wind up with a funny moment and so Indianapolis, I would love to have that race back. I mean, I was sitting in third the moment that accident happened. Andrew, I was sitting in third. I was running in Fuel 5. I had the cars in front of me faded by 4 laps on gas, and I was faster than them full lean. And but what do? You know what I mean? There's a car comes off the bottom and you don't expect it, and it comes up the track and you have nowhere to go. And I don't care if it's me or you or Scott Dixon or, whomever. Nobody's going to make it through that when a car comes up the track and you're doing turn. What are we doing there? 2 1/4 Wood? I mean,
something like that, entering turn 2, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to react to that, right? Like you have a millisecond to twitch your hands left or right, and the 2 cars in front of me twitched their hands one way, and I twitched the other way, and you know what? I twitched my hands the wrong way, right? Like I don't know what you want me to do. But that encapsulated the season because we came back and we got a decent finish out of it. I mean, yeah, we were laps down, and I probably made Joe Branch mad because I raced him really hard at the front of the field to get my lap back, to get one of my laps back. But we wound up getting back on the lead lap and finished ninth and salvaged. That was the worst finish, by the way, that counted for me. But we got back on the lead lap and salvaged a decent finish, you know, and that was, you know, that's how you build a points lead. I'm not much on winning races either. Like, I don't win very much. I'm not very good at winning races. Like, I think in the entire thing, in top split oval, I've won 3 total televised races, but I've won 2 championships. So like, I'm not used to winning. I'm not used to sitting on the pole. When I got back after qualifying, I took my gloves off, and normally after we get done with qualifying, I immediately jump up and, you know, I have this whole thing. I jump up and go to the bathroom and, you know, refill my, you know, I have a Gatorade jug next to me, and, you know, I come back and sit down and kind of get myself ready, you know, knowing that I'm going to be in the seat for the next 2.5, 3 hours. And, you know, I just kind of, you know, got up and put my headphones down and took my gloves off. And, you know, thanks to Jim Herrick and 4D Racewear, for the shoes and the gloves. But, you know, I went to the bathroom and sat back down, and I wasn't even looking at it. I mean, I didn't even have Race Labs up yet. And I put my headphones back on, and I guess I didn't turn my mic off. And I sit down and I look at the clock. I'm like, you know, I still got a minute and 30 seconds to go to the grid. So no rush, no nothing. And Seb's like screaming on the radio, you know, you won the pole, you got the pole. He's like, and you got the pole by 0.2 of a second. Cause like, I guess I ran an 24.8 or something in qualifying. Was it? I ran some absurd lap that was like 0.2 of a second quicker than everybody else in qualifying. And
I'm trying to find the numbers right now.
It was a big number. I'm like, how in the world did I do that? Like, I missed the bottom on that lap in both ends of the track. Like, I had to roll out of the throttle in 3 just to get the thing to stick at the apex. Like, there's no way I should have been 0.2. But I got back and he's yelling at me, "You're on the pole." I'm like, well, that's pretty good. And then, you know, every 5 laps, don't wreck that car. Don't wreck that car. Don't wreck that car. And the entire time, go back and watch my stream. The entire time, don't wreck the car. You're going too fast. You're pulling away. You're, you know, when Peterson and them guys, you know, did the alternate strategy, they came out and they were running laps on fresh tires that I was running on used tires. And I came and got new tires, and they were 6 seconds ahead of me, and I raced it, and we raced that in 10 laps. Like, you don't do that. Like, I don't know what it was, but we were on rails tonight, and that was fun. And then Craig at the end, my goodness. If you don't like that race with Craig Forsyth, I don't know that you like racing, because I didn't think there was no way I was going to win that race. And, you know, we kind of hunted. You know, Seb was, you know, back him up by 2 feet. No, that's too far. You got to back him up by a foot. I want you a foot closer and to his left on exit of 2 with 2 to go. And then I guess I must have got it right, and somehow it stuck. So there you go.
Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt. I mean, obviously we know you have plenty of talent behind the wheel, but also doesn't hurt to have such detail like that in your ear as well. That's really awesome to have. But yeah, like you said, I mean, the bad races were very few and far between. And like you said, the recovery, and I went back and looked at Indy, and yeah, I mean, there were over 20 some of the cars, and to bring it home at 9th, like you said, you recovered a ton there. And that's easily one of those ones where, it's Indy. It's a huge race regardless of the championship. So yeah, it's definitely an easy one to get flustered and be like, screw it, I'm done. But to stick with it and go back after it, and like I said, and to salvage a really good result is really impressive. Like you said, your worst race that counted was the 9th place. So like I said, it's a hell of a season to average under fourth place position it's gonna be tough to beat any season. So definitely a really, really good job, Mark. And so I love the wife giving you a hard time there as well. Like when we went back and looked at it, I remember Andrew and I were both just like, what just happened? But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is we talked about it too before we chatted with you. We still got one more to go, so you can go have even more fun with it now that you've got it locked up. You can, like we were talking about, well, do you want to start in the back and just work your way forward, or as we didn't, it's like, no, that's not really a Mark Murphy thing. He's going to try to just get it all like he always does. But yeah, man, it was a hell of a job tonight. We talked about 55 points being the max you could get. That was the points you got tonight as well. So you did everything right this evening to clinch in style. And so, yeah, definitely want to give you the floor one more time here. Any thanks and shouts for the win and for that championship?
Yeah. So first of all, thanks to the wonderful Miss Natalie for letting me do this. She's been my partner in crime for gosh, 20 years. This year was when we met. So that's incredible. I didn't think about that until just now, but thank you so much to my wife for letting me do this. She puts up with my obsessions and my craziness, and if whatever it is, if it's if it's putting together a library in my house, or a sim rig that has to measure exactly the same dimensions as a IR-18 cockpit, or if it's whatever it is, it's she is 100% on board with it, and I love that girl so much. Thanks to you guys, Gail and Andrew, you put up with my nonsense for 13 weeks so far. You got 1 week to go. I have to thank my sponsors, Blackmagic Studios, Andy Dunwoody, Brian Sharp. Those guys have been on my car since I won that first broadcasted top split race at Gateway, and that was almost 3 years ago. And they're still painting my cars today, and those guys are awesome, and they do such a good job, and they don't charge you all that much, but they'll do whatever you want for you. And thank you so much to them. I got to thank P1 Broadcasting. I'm not a very good driver anymore, but sometimes, I like to think that I'm turning into a pretty decent broadcaster. And thanks to Gary and all those guys over there. They're doing a double feature tonight. He's done two races at Atlanta. And I don't even know. They might still be they still going over there, Andrew?
I think I just went to look, and I think they're still going.
They're still going, so I might go pop in the booth over there. But kudos to those guys, and thank you so much for him to give me the chance to do something that was always something I wanted to do, which was broadcast. And thank God I'm not on video, because I definitely have a face for radio. But thanks to Gary for letting me do that. Thanks to everybody that I broadcast with. From Clindy to the most beautiful wreck I know, Ryan Eric King, Sam Crow, even you, Wood. It's so much fun being in the booth, and I love it. I got to thank Admin Box. If you're a race controller out there, go see Fish and get you the best custom made button box you can for a race controller. It's an absolute necessity, and it's perfect. George Anzaldo, for doing the Sim Gaming Expo. We're going to be there. We're going to have a heck of a good time. I think I owe Maddie Wagner a refreshment for killing him last night in Isra, but no worries. We're going to be in good shape. That's it, boys. I'm spent. I still don't understand how I won that race, but I guess I'll go back and watch it back and figure it out, and we'll go on from there.
Yeah, man, go enjoy this one. Like I say, you got a week off, and then let's say look forward to seeing you at the finale, man.
I got one more for the finale. We're gonna bring out the guys at Blackmagic, Andy Dunwoody again, Blackmagic Studios. We're gonna bring out something pretty cool for that. Now that I don't have to worry about points, and we can just drive. And Fontana is an awesome track. We're gonna bring out something pretty cool. So I will not be in this car in Fontana, but Mr. Wood has seen that car before, the car that I'm going to run before, and he knows how special it is to me. So I want everybody that's watching to enjoy that for sure.
Looking forward to it, sir. Go enjoy this one and look forward to see you in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, I look forward to talking to you then too.
All right, congrats, man.
Yep.
All right, Andrew, that is our series champion and race winner tonight, Mr. Mark Murphy. And I was all caught up in the results and everything. We need to still pull up those final results, and we'll see. Sometimes when I wait too long, it gets mad at me. So we'll see if it gets mad at me again here this time. And the short answer is yes, it's going to get mad at me. So we're going to do it the old-fashioned way like we've talked about before. And it is going to be Mark Murphy getting that win over Craig Forsyth. We mentioned Jim Herrick, the podium here tonight. They're in third. And then Nick DeGroot, Hugo Galaz, top fives for those guys. And Frank Irwin Jr., Jeff Heisong, Joseph Morales, and Casey Pahutsky are lead lap finishers to ninth. And then, unfortunately, the earlier the lap down finishers and early retirements with Eric Peterson in 10th. And then Chris Stouffer, Eric Schaus, Rick Sanchez, Edson Santos, Charles Teed, and then Matt Wagner in the 16th spot. But yeah, it was a lot going on tonight. It was calm to begin with, I feel like, Andrew, and then it got pretty crazy there in the latter half of the race. But as I said, these guys, the strategies and everything, like they just don't disappoint.
Yeah, we definitely didn't expect that to go back to back cautions there, and Nick DeGroot gave us a little bit of a show there. Probably just wanted to get some more airtime on his car, in my opinion, because that's very not like Nick DeGroot to do something like that. But yeah, it's been it's been an interesting race to call for sure. And Kentucky always kind of brings out a different sort of race no matter what you do. If the track is hot, you get a race like we have where it's very difficult to pass, but you get some different strategies that play out, which we saw from several different fuel strategies. Or you could have a pack race and it could just be a white knuckling kind of event from start to finish there. So we got the former in tonight's race, and yeah, it was definitely fun to watch. And apologies again to everyone for my tardiness there. I had quite an evening. So yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks, and you won't get rid of me quite yet.
No, always glad to have you. Say be it a little bit delayed or not. Like I said, we were chatting pre-race. We kind of knew what was going on, that you had stuff going, but yeah, definitely always a pleasure to have you up here with me, Andrew. So you've got a lot of insight that I don't usually get from let's say, the ins and outs of these way better than I do. And it's a lot of fun to just hang out and enjoy great racing with these guys and be able to talk about it. So big thank you. Like I said, we still got one more to go at Fontana in 2 weeks' time. But again, everybody else that's watched it and supported us here at Green White Checker TV, really appreciate you all. So, of course, as always, I hope you have a wonderful evening and take care. Stay safe. Have a good night. And congrats again to our champion, Mark Murphy.